Hello everybody. These are the kind of speeches that you'd be very happy if somebody else did. The purpose, the idea of this meeting, of this get-together, is about, so what am I supposed to do? That's what I think it's about. So what should I do? What should I do? Something is happening. Young boys and girls are putting their lives in danger, repayal. And b'derech hateva, it's a lot more than putting their lives in danger. Al tiftach peh la'asatan. At this moment, to protect us, to protect Achenu v'achyeseinu, our brothers and sisters, and don't think this is about Eretz Yisroel. I think we all got a clear picture. This is about being Jewish. And in case we have any doubt, we have many people who really don't like us, who are making sure that we understand clearly that this is not about Eretz Yisroel, it's about the Jewish people. And the soldiers who are risking their lives and throwing their lives into fire are fighting for us. They're fighting for Hashem. They're fighting a fight which is the biggest Kiddush Hashem that could be, even in Mitzvah Hashem, that each one of them will come home safe and sound and healthy and normal from this terrible conflagration. It's the ultimate act of, this is called Mekadesh Shem Shamayim Barabim on the highest level. There's no doubt about it. And just to mention, 1,400 of our brothers and sisters were killed. Hashem Yimkaim Domam. And every single one of them is a Kodesh, the holiest Jew that could be. How they live their lives makes no difference, because when they were killed, they were not killed because of how they lived their lives. They were killed because they're the Eivishter's children. And the Gemara says, people who are killed because they're Jewish have such a high place in Gan Eden that nobody can stand near them. So the Gemara says, you mean like Rabbi Akiva and the Asara Arugei Malchus that we know about from the Yom Kippur davening? And the Gemara says, no. I mean the boys and girls who were at that music festival in the south of Israel. These are Harugei Melucha. She'ein Adam Yachal La'aved Mchitzasim. These are Kedoshim on the highest level. They were killed because they were Jewish. So what am I supposed to do? So I'm going to share with you a personal story. I have a student, a former student. He's married with children. He's not a little boy. Sends me a notice, mamash, a day or two into this whole thing, and he says, I will give you $10,000. I'll give anybody $10,000. Get me a gun and put me on the front line. He meant it. I said to him, does your wife know that you're thinking this way? He says, not only my wife does, but there's many other men like me whose wives are delighted at the thought that their husbands are going to go off and fight for Kedushas Am Yisrael. So I actually sent his words to someone that I know in Eretz Yisroel who would know how to do this. And I got a torrent of insults back. And the center of them was, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. He said to me, you can send him to Israel. Not only won't they put him on the front lines, they won't even give him a gun. They'll give him a shovel to plant a field. He says, everybody has a job. Our jobs are not identical, but everybody has a job. Figure out what your job is and do it. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't wish you were somebody else. The task that you're able to do is the task that you're meant to do and that you must do, and that's where the energies have to be placed. So in this spirit, we're having this gathering this evening. I'm just one of the speakers, and this is what I was asked to discuss. It's based on a letter that I sent to as many people as I possibly could, that Rabbi Shalom Lipskis of Gesundheit from Florida wrote. And he basically said, people were forgetting, we're Lubavitch. This is a moment like the 6-Day War, the awakening of the Jewish people, the arousal of the Jewish people. Now, I was 2.5 when the 6-Day War happened. Jews woke up. Every Jew in the world was awake. And they were awake not just to Jewish terror and to Jewish fear. They were awake to the Jewish soul and to the Jewish God. There's only one God. He's everybody's God. But we say Elokeinu, our God. And the Rebbe said that it was a moment that you could have turned the world upside down if the moment had been taken advantage of. And Rabbi Lipsker said, this is our job. I saw a yechidus that the Rebbe had with Rabbi Chaim Gutnick Olav Shalom from Melbourne, Australia. After the 6-day war, he went to Eretz Yisroel. And like many other Jews, he visited the Kosel HaMaravi, which was a big deal. It was a novelty that Yidden would go to the Kosel HaMaravi. And he came back so enthralled, so excited, so inspired, like so many Jews were. And he came into the Rebbe, delighting in what had happened. Now the Rebbe wasn't disappointed in what happened, but the Rebbe said, Rabbi Gutnick, go home to Melbourne, get up in your shul, and scream. Every Yid should keep Shabbos. Every Yid should keep Taras HaMishpacha. Every Yid should put tefillin on every day. The Rebbe said, now is the opportunity. Your shul is, 400 families. How many of them are Shem Shabbos? You could say whatever you want to the people to listen. And the Rebbe said, I'm making Rabbanim. He says, the Rabbanim are afraid to see me. The Rebbe said, Rabbanim are afraid to come and see me because they know what they're going to get as a lecture. They're not going to be told, yippee, yay is us. The Rebbe said, people are staying away from me because they don't want to hear my speech. And my speech is, this is an opportunity. Get up and show and scream. Everybody has to keep Shabbos. Everybody has to put on film. Everybody has to keep Taras HaMishpacha. Because the Jews' hearts are open. We really are in such a moment. And there's our place in this. So I want to share with you some thoughts. And my thoughts are based on what the Rebbe says to the Israeli government and to the Israeli military at a time like this. I'm not in the Israeli government, I'm not in the Israeli military, but every one of the points that I'm going to read, and I have 7, has a lesson for us, a real lesson, a serious lesson, an actionable lesson. So I'm going to read you, first of all, 7 points of how the Rebbe insists the leadership of Eretz Yisroel needs to act b'chlal, and in times like this particularly. And then I'm going to tell you my 7 lessons, 7 points. This is my talk. So here we are. Okay, I'm going to go through a list of instructions that have nothing to do with me and nothing to do with you. Have to do with people who live, whatever it is, 8,000 miles away, who carry enormous responsibility. It's not easy. I was at the Fabrengenischen where the Rebbe used to scream about the Israeli politicians, and we would stand there and talk to each other. How could you not listen to the Rebbe? And there was one old chassid who would lean over and say, do you listen to the Rebbe all the time? The pressure that they're under, the tests that they face are enormous. But the Rebbe didn't accept that as an excuse, and he pushed. Number 1, do not risk the lives of soldiers for political considerations. If you can do a mifza, an action, for lack of words, I don't know what the right word is in military, where you cheap on your own soldiers' lives, but someone else is not going to like it because it doesn't look good. You don't gamble the life of a single Yiddish soldier for political considerations, number 1. Number 2, when it comes to engaging in war, decisions about starting a war, about continuing a war, and finishing a war are made only by military people, not by politicians. Only people who understand the act and react of war can make the decisions that have to do with the safety of the Jewish people. Number 3, finish. Finish what you start. Not a single war in Eretz Yisroel was won. Not one. Not one. Not the 48 war, not the 56 war, not the 67 war, not the 73 war, not the 82 war. Every single war ended in what's called a ceasefire, where the enemy says, we're still fighting, but we're taking a break so we can get stronger and hit you harder. And each time the Rebbe said, we have to win. You have to win. Because if you win, you're not going to have to fight again. Win means finish. In the Second World War, they had the expression unconditional surrender. I don't know how that would apply now, but that's what the Rebbe feels. We have to win. Win. Why? Because if we'll win, we won't have to fight again. And if we don't win, it's going to happen again, and again, and again. Number 4. This is a very, very sensitive one. We are fighting with an enemy that doesn't mind dying. But we're fighting with an enemy that really minds being humiliated. It's worse to embarrass our enemy than to kill our enemy. So we have to embarrass them. We have to embarrass them. America says, no, don't make them feel bad, make them feel good. No, 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 no. We have to fight and we have to win, and that's how we win. We humiliate our enemy. I want you to know, we had a Yom Kippur War 50 years ago this year, and Israel won a resounding victory. And Egypt makes the parade every year, till this day, and Israel doesn't. How do you make a parade when you lose a war? How does the winning team not make the parade? How do millions and millions and millions of Arabs say that they won a war where they lost the Hoizen, mit the Sheikh, with everything? Because we don't want to embarrass them. I say that one of the lessons of this story is that starting next year, Israel has to make a parade to celebrate the victory of the Yom Kippur War. Number 5, fighting this war and winning this war is not just good for the Jewish people. It's good for the Arabs. It's good for the Palestinians. Don't think for a moment that everybody finds this fun. There are madmen, many of them, and women. But making it impossible for our enemy to hurt us is even good for our enemy. Number 6. We're not asking anybody's permission to live in Eretz Yisroel. Eretz Yisroel is ours because Hashem gave it to us. All of it. The United Nations Kloimish did us a favor after 6 million of our brothers and sisters, 1 out of every 3 Jews, was murdered just as cruelly as 1,400 of our brothers and sisters were murdered 3 weeks ago. And they gave us a shtick of land. If you ever look at the piece of land they gave us, it's like pockmarked, you know, it's like polka dots. A piece to Israel, a piece to the Arab, a piece. It was designed to be a disaster. It was designed to be a failure. And the Eibishter made Nissen Gluyim in 1948. Nissen Gluyim! And we won a war that we should never have won. And Nissen Gluyim in 1956, and Nissen Gluyim in the 6-Day War, and Nissen Gluyim in the Yom Kippur War. And we're going to see miracles in this war like we've never seen. But we should never apologize for living in Eretz Yisroel. And as the Rebbe would say it, the Rebbe says like this: we don't have it all. But if they start a war and we get another piece, we don't give it back. It's ours. Those are 7 instructions that have 0 to do with you and me. 0. Why? Because we're not soldiers, we're not politicians, we're not generals. We're Beis Rivkah girls living in Brooklyn. So I want to translate each of these 6 instructions for us. Number 1. For Yiddishkeit to work in a sustainable way, it cannot be compromised. The Rebbe started doing outreach, kiruv, and people started to become frum. But they didn't become frum with pants and chalavakum and bishalakum and relying on every heter. If they became frum, they wanted to be frum like us. And people came to the Rebbe and said to the Rebbe, why is Lubavitch so successful? The Rebbe said, because people don't like halfway. No compromise. If I'm a Jew 100% in every aspect of my life, including the boring little details of the Shulchan Aruch, about Shabbos and about Kashrus and about everything else. No compromise. This is particularly true, says the Lubavitcher Rebbe, when it comes to young people. Young people either do it or they don't do it. And in case you don't know, you're young. No pshara. Yiddish, you want to know what it means? That you don't risk the life of a soldier with little considerations? That every boy and girl in Lubavitch and outside Lubavitch accepts Yiddishkeit without any halfways. There's no halfways. That's the equivalent of the Israeli government protecting our soldiers. Number two, how to be a Jew is decided by Rabbonim and Mashpiyim. Not our friends, and not the street, and not what is everybody doing. The equal of the Rebbe's saying, military decisions are made by military people, not by politicians, is, if we want to know how to be Yidden and Hasidim, and this is a moment, people, this is a moment for us to wake up and for us to wake up others. How should I be a Yid? How should I be a Chassid? I ask the people whose life it is to teach this. And if we understand that in Eretz Yisroel it's a terrible idea for politicians to make decisions about military matters, it's a terrible idea for us to get advice about how to be frum and chassidish from sources other than our teachers, our mashpiyim, our rabbonim. Number three, you got to finish. What does that mean for us? What does that mean for us? What does that mean for us? This is not a momentary arousal, you understand? We're all very worried. We're all very afraid. So we're all very inspired. This is forever. The improvements that we're going to make in our life. Because we understand that what we do here is mirrored in Eretz Yisroel. We have to commit to being Yidden and Hasidim in a sustained way. Not that tomorrow the Yetzer Hara has got me back in the same place and we do the same fight over again and over again and over again. It's exactly like the Israeli politicians not letting the military finish what they start, so they do it again and again and again. And each time we lose Kadosh. Number four, we have to embarrass the Yetzer Hara. We have to shame the Yetzer Hara. We have to be ashamed of things that come, as the Rebbe would say, from the linke Seite, from the left side. We're so sensitive, you know, we're very sensitive. We are very sensitive. I got a reprimand by one of my bosses in whatever school that I'm teaching that I have to be nicer to my students because I'm hurting their feelings. And he's right. But to the Yetzer Hara, Ar-Rahmanis, what the Yetzer Hara wants is shameful. You can kill the Yetzer Hara, he doesn't care. Just don't embarrass him. You can kill an Arab, he doesn't care. Just don't shame him. We have to shame the Yetzer Hara. What the Yetzer Hara stands for has to be, in our minds, shameful. Number five, someplace in this mix is an opportunity to teach Goyim. The Rebbe spoke almost 40 years ago about the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. And I don't know the particulars, but apparently the Rebbe himself pulled back on that campaign because of an increase in anti-Semitism. Well, the anti-Semitism is here anyway. If Yidden will honor themselves and not let other people say that we are evil, because people know how to cry on cue and wail and mourn when these people's entire intent is Rahman al-Islam to do what Hitler tried to do, Rahman al-Islam to do what Haman tried to do, and they say it openly. They say it openly. The best thing we can do for those people is finish. The best thing for those people is to stand for our principle so that we can teach them how to serve Hashem, how to be human beings the way the Eibishter taught. And if there's one thing you girls know from your living on this earth for yours, whatever it is, 17, 18, or 19 years, is that people who live without God, even if they're very sweet and they're very nice and they mean very well, are so confused. They're confused to protest at a rally of Eretz Yisroel, and they're literally confused about the definition of a human being. They're literally confused about the separation between a human being and an animal. We have to teach them. If we win this war, and I don't mean on the battlefield, it's an opportunity to teach the world righteousness and morality that's true and sustainable, because it comes from Hashem, not from people's feelings. And number 7, Kinderlach, we're not big people, we're tiny people. We're not big chassidim, we're tiny chassidim. But whatever ideas in Yiddishkeit that we have, whatever ideas in Yiddishkeit we've incorporated into our lives, we never give away to anybody for anything. We never give it away to anybody for anything. And we're never embarrassed. We're never embarrassed. See, you're girls, I'm a boy. I was once a young boy like you're a young girl. And when you walked onto an airplane, I remember a stewardess saying to me, "Mister, there's strings hanging out of your pants." And when you're 17 years old, you're ashamed. What she's basically saying is, you went to the bathroom and forgot to tuck yourself in. Mensch. Now it's a little easier for girls because you're not wearing yarmulkes and beards and tzitzis, but you're dressed differently than everybody else. To be proud. What's mine? I never apologize for it to anybody ever. There's many things in Yiddishkeit, there's many pieces of Eretz Yisroel we don't have yet. But what we have, Kinderlach, what is ours already, we're proud of, we don't apologize for, we need nobody's permission, and we don't give it up. And I want to say, I wrote a speech. I came prepared. I wrote a speech. Yippee. If I meant it at all, was Dvorim HaYetzim and Alev. What I just did was, I took some, I'm sure there's more, I took some of the key points that the Rebbe used to say to the Israeli military. You have to understand, I grew up in the 80s. I heard the Rebbe scream about Shleimus Haaretz 50 times and get so upset and stand next to my friends at the Fabrengen and wonder how could someone not listen to the Rebbe. And there was one old guy in the bench in front of us that leaned back and say, when you listen to your instructions the way you expect them to listen to the Rebbe, so will they. This is something for each one of us to contemplate seriously. Girls, you are living at a historic moment. I'm no prophet. I don't know what's going to happen. This is historic. This is very important. It's very serious. Your whole life, you're going to be talking about this to your children and your grandchildren. And it is, in part, a histoideros. It's an awakening. The Eretz Yisroel, did you see this clip a woman sent around? A woman with a sheitel says, Hamas, this is what you did. And she shows Chassidish Yidden and modern soldiers. Did you see this clip? I guess that's a negative. You should see it. We are, the Jewish people are standing in a very unique moment. We're very together. We're very in love with one another. And we're all very inspired about Hashem. We're not angry at God, even though arguably you say we should be. We're in love with God. We want to do more. A woman, a clip I saw this morning, she's talking to news people on the television. And she says she looks through the little keyhole in her door and she sees 5 Hamasniks. She lives in the south, coming with their rifles extended to tear down her door and do Rahman al-Islam, what they do. She took her kids and she gave them knives and said, fight! And she said to them, this is not normal people, but this is what we got to do. And then she looked through the viewfinder again, they're walking towards the house and she looks up and says, listen, Elokim, I got more to do. Atikun shali adayin lo nigmar. I got more to fix. I swear to you, if you save my life, I will keep every Shabbos from now on as long as I live. And they walk to the next house. This is us. This is us. Let's not waste this opportunity. Let's not waste this moment. And let's make it last. And it's time. It's time that the Eibishter mentioned that this should be the end. We think Mashiach is going to come along and people are going to say, oh, Mashiach is here. The United Nations is going to condemn Mashiach at least once a week. Because Mashiach is really not going to care what anybody thinks. But by not caring what anybody thinks, he's going to teach, not just Yidden, but every human being on this planet, what real righteousness is. And he's going to be so stubborn. And they're going to condemn him again, and they're going to condemn him again, and they're going to mock trial, and they're going to threaten to do kach v'kach. And he's going to teach the whole world how a human being that's created in the image of God is supposed to behave. Let it be now. Amen.